So Neil, what's new with you?
Well, in the past year, I think I've become addicted to collecting Lego. So I have like 40 odd Lego sets that I have yet to put together, but they're all sitting here getting ready while I, get some more room, and then I can build a gigantic Millennium Falcon and stuff like that. That thing cost me like $1,000. So it's
Hey,
huge.
I think Lego is still like very like underrated. Like people need to get back into Lego. I have a son and he's getting me back into Lego.
Is he? That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
They're
so
saying it's worth
fun.
more than gold right now. So
Oh,
people
really?
are
Okay,
collecting. Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
when he's done with it, I'll still hang on to it and see what I can get
Oh
from it
yeah,
later.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah, so I also was just thinking about when you and I had met. Neil,
Mhm.
you have a channel on
I do.
YouTube
Yeah.
here called, and your show is called Deconversion Stories, and you had
Correct.
me on
A
two
couple of
years
years
ago.
ago. Yeah.
2 years
Yeah.
ago, yeah, and I was just saying that it felt like it was 6 months ago because I can't believe it's been that long. Um, I think it was kind of one of my first intros into the YouTube world.
Mhm.
And then just last week and the week before, a whole new experience for me because you actually interviewed some family members of mine.
That's right.
Yeah.
What I think is funny about that whole ordeal is you had no idea that they were out of it
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, I recently had my sister-in-law actually contacted me a couple of weeks ago because she had gone through her whole process and kind of walked away from her own faith, and she was listening to some of the channels on that have atheist content, and she stumbled up across an interview of mine. And now her and I, like, we've had kind of times where we've hung out a lot, but we hadn't seen each other a lot over the last couple of years with COVID, and
right,
she ended up moving and she had another baby, and so we just kind of lost touch a little bit. But she had no idea that I was an atheist, and I had no idea that she was an atheist, and she definitely didn't know that I did stuff online and that I've been all over the place telling my story. So it was
right.
super exciting. And then I was really happy that I didn't, you reached out to her, but I was able to vouch for you and be like, yeah, you should totally go on Neil's channel, it's awesome. Yeah, so that
Well,
was wild.
I reached out because you mentioned that she was your sister-in-law, I think.
Yeah.
So I reached out and I said, "Hey, I already had your sister-in-law, and it's time for you to come on the show." And then
Yeah.
her mom was watching, and then she said, "Oh yeah, I'm an atheist now too." And I'm like, "Okay, you're coming on next."
Like I can't even put it into words how mind blowing this is for me. Having these people in particular in my life who were probably one of the most religious people in my family that I knew of,
Yeah.
to see them now kind of going down the similar path where they've abandoned all these belief systems, and they're talking about it online. So that's pretty wild.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, these stories need to be shared, right? Because you never know. I mean, I think your sister-in-law mentioned that she had seen some of the content out there about, because when she was having doubts, she had gone on YouTube and looked up a bunch of stuff, and she saw a lot of the folks that we already know, Atheist Experience, Seth Andrews, that kind of thing, and that got the ball rolling, and then she just sort
Yeah.
of eventually found her way out of there.
Yeah, and
So
I love what
kudos.
you do on your channel because like
Well,
a lot of
thanks.
people will do counter apologetic stuff. We do call-ins, we talk to people.
Mhm.
But I think one of the most important thing for people who are kind of going through that process early on is hearing the actual stories of people and what it was like for them when they
Mhm.
were leaving. And you do all sorts, like it's not just Christianity, or like you listen to anybody's story, right? Like anybody who's
I
come
have
away from.
had even Hemet Meta, who was on for an
Yeah.
episode, and he was an ex-Jain, right? So I've had
Yeah.
ex-Buddhists, I've had ex-Jains, I've had ex-Muslims, ex-Jews, ex-Christians. I even had another lady who lives here in our province, who is an ex-guru in the world of woo,
Oh,
like
really?
pyramid power, crystal healing, that kind of garbage. And
Yeah.
and she came on and said, yeah, once I realized that all this stuff that I was just leading people on, scamming them almost like a charlatan. So, and I didn't
Wow.
feel good about that. So she got out of it.
That's fascinating. I'll have to go look for that one. I missed that one. Because yeah, it's like there's a lot of different avenues of people of life that people come from, and they
Hmm.
would say that they walked away from some sort of like a lot of people will use the word fundamentalism or
Yeah.
extremism or just
Yeah.
superstition. Like they're walking away from these different kinds of belief systems, and And for other people who are going through that, you can go to a channel like yours and find the people that match up kind of with your history, right?
Yeah.
And then listen to
Yeah.
them. And I think the thing you hear all the time is how interesting it is for people to hear stories that sound so much like their own, and feeling like they're not alone when they're going through these things.
There's definitely some similarities to the stories,
Yeah,
but
I bet.
one of the things I think is the oddest fact about these hearing some of these stories is some people they start having some doubts. They ask a few questions, and then just like that, they're like, screw this, I'm an atheist. And then you have people that take a long time to get out of it, like, you know, that they feel like they're getting out of it, and then, oh no, I got to go back and believe a little bit, and then it can be quite the process for some people, and others it's just like a whole queue thing. Just snap your fingers and you're out of it, right? So, myself going through not really so much of a deconversion. I'll be honest, I don't really think. Here's the weird thing: is I was born to Christians, but they were young and Catholics, and that's a big no-no. So I was given up for adoption. I've met them since, by the way, and the relationship's great. And raised by Jewish people. So if
Yeah.
Christianity is the right way, then how come God made me be raised by Jewish people? Those damn Jewish people, like, you know.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of a fumble on the God's
Right.
plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So growing up, and we were told that we were adopted, my sister and myself, at quite a young age. I think we were about 7 years old when we were told. And I was like, okay, well, what exactly is that? Well, you were born to some other people, but they couldn't keep you. So this is my mom speaking, me not being able to have children needed to adopt, and we found you two lovely kids and adopted you. I was like, oh, thanks. I don't really think I got it at the time, but I understood later on. And you know, and I had a pretty good life, you know, privileged white guy. What's, you know. So yeah, and I mean that you know, in sort of a way that I'm well aware of it, and I try to use that to help others. So there you go.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that it's a good space that maybe wasn't being filled very much before you started your channel. So it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll anybody can come on. So any of you guys watching, if you have a deconversion story to share, hit me up.
Yeah.
Because anyone can come on. It doesn't matter, even if you think your story's boring. And I've heard that a few times. And then we get them into it and we talk for a bit, and they're like, wow, okay, maybe my story wasn't so boring. And
Right.
you know how my shows are. They're a lot of fun. And we always
Mhm.
do after parties where I have the guests come in and they can meet all of my wacky friends like you, Erin, and everybody else, and get to know some of the community, so that they know that there is a place where they can go and feel at home and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And maybe get cheered up a little bit, because oftentimes I hear that when people come out of their belief systems, the families, you know, disown them. And I think
Right.
that's brutal myself. Like, I'll
Yeah.
never understand that, but
Yeah, like whether it's families or, you know, in well, my sister-in-law's experience getting publicly shamed from her church right now. Like
right. Yeah.
that's a lot to go through. And so it's imperative that you find other people, right? So I think that
Absolutely.
that's a cool system to like get them to come on, share their story, and then immediately introduce them to some new friends. Like,
Yep.
I think that's
Exactly.
awesome.
And many of us, I think, have become like family. You know, family doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
always mean a blood tie, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I got a pretty good bunch of people around me. At least they keep me in good spirits. And there's a lot of regulars on the show, like, of course, well, Mikey, of course, because he's my producer, and lots of people that are always on there, like Canadian Ollieman.
Yeah.
Like my brother from the other coast, right?
Yeah.
Also Canadian. Well, it's in his name, so duh. But yeah, and he's all the way over in Newfoundland, I think, or something like that, or somewhere around there, the other
Yeah.
side of Canada. So we're well represented.
Yeah, and like, don't you feel that like more and more, like there's so many people in Canada? I feel like we're really starting to like get our numbers up for the amount of atheists or non-believers in
Agreed.
Canada. And like we don't
Agreed.
all actually know each other, but it's pretty like you quickly do find each other on like these
I
online
think so.
spaces, right?
I
Hopefully we
agree.
can get together soon and like, you know,
Well, as you know,
yeah.
I'm the community advocate for Canadian atheists, and I'm the guy that organizes all the gatherings that we will be doing. And we're probably going to have a little something coming up this summer. So I will let you know. but
Okay.
it'll probably be maybe in August, I think, or maybe even early September, because in June I'll be over at the Better conference
Right.
in where is it now? Indiana, there, I think. Yeah, Mike and I are going down. I'm actually, you know, what's funny? I looked up the plane tickets to fly to Fort Wayne, and it's like $1,000 Canadian, over $1,000. I'm like, what? Then I looked up the flights to Chicago, which is literally the next state over, and it was like $500. I'm like, Mikey, I'm coming to your place, and we're going to drive down together. So he's like, oh, all right, sounds good. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
so we're going to
That
be
might
down
work
at
out even
Better.
better then.
Yep, it'll be
Cool.
better for better.
Yeah, better for better. Yeah, that's good. I know there's lots of different kind of things getting organized. I love to see that.
Yeah,
And each community kind of has something a little bit different for the people looking for the community that they're in need of. Like there's whatever you kind of need coming out of religion or other things like we mentioned. Whether you need just like some support or whether you need somewhere to like go and like I don't know, laugh and kind of like share memes and like there are these different spaces for
yeah.
everybody, right?
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, that's
Talking
good.
about memes, you can always talk about my friend Randolph. You
Yeah.
know him, Randolph Richardson. He's got an entire folder that's got something like 1 million memes in it. So
Oh,
it doesn't
really?
matter what you're talking about. He's got a meme pops up
Yeah.
for
I do
exactly
find that
that.
that's one of the earliest ways to connect, like, or like, for when I hear people who've come out of like religion and they realize that I am one of the first things that starts getting shared is memes because I think it's just like the easiest way to like express how you're feeling, especially
Yeah.
like if you felt like you've been like deceived or whatever. There's actually so many hilarious memes out there that like really
Oh
really
yeah.
accurately portray that feeling. So I don't know. I kind of it's a funny kind of little culture that happens with meme culture anyway. um
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's
so
fun.
yeah, anybody who has not watched Neil's channel, I encourage you to go over and check it out and join in on some of the after parties and get
Oh
to
yeah,
know
they're
some more
always fun.
people. Exactly.
Mind you, we can only have a maximum. I use StreamYard to go through, and I think we can have a mass. It's like the old Google Hangouts. You can get 10 in there, and that's it. I think so.
Okay.
But mind you, with 10 people in there, sometimes it gets a little, people walking all over each other when they're talking. So um, it can get a little crazy at some
Yeah.
point. But for
Oh
the most
man.
part, it's a good time. What kind of sucks now is last year I discovered I had a blood clot
Oh really?
in my leg, fairly sizable one. So now I'm on. I hate calling them blood thinners because that's not actually what they do. They're anticoagulants, and being on anticoagulants means I can no longer drink. And I kind of miss having a couple of beers with the after party. Of course, I sneak one in once in a while, but the doctor doesn't like me doing that too much. So
Yeah.
I'll have one here or there. Like if I go out
Yeah.
for dinner or something, I'll have one. But she's like, yeah, as long as it's just beer and you're only having one and it doesn't have an ABV of like 14 or something, you're good.
Right.
So, and I still got half a bottle of my favorite single malt scotch sitting right there in front of me, and I can't even touch
Oh, that sucks.
it.
That
Yes,
sucks.
it does. That's all right. I'll give it away to some lucky viewer. I don't know.
Yeah, for the first 10 people to show up in your after party after your next
Yeah.
interview will get
They get a
entered to the
shot.
draw for yeah, a shot of Neil's special scotch.
I will
That's
be doing
hilarious.
actually a giveaway on one of my shows soon because actually was digging through a bunch of stuff trying to find I can't remember what the hell it was. I was trying to find some sort of thing I needed for a job or something. And I came across a couple of unopened CDs of our first album, our little
Great.
six song demos. So I'm going to do a
Because
giveaway
Neil's
of
in a
one of those
band.
CDs.
For
Yes. Oh,
anybody who
yeah. Did I not
doesn't
mention
know
that?
that, Neil's in a band. Yeah.
All the music on my show is also is our band as well. So the opening and
Oh, really?
closing
I
themes
didn't
are
know
all
that.
all on me. That's me singing. Well, trying to sing. I call it caterwauling, but
Oh, that's awesome. So did you open them up and give them a listen?
No, I already have my own copy, but
Oh, are you gonna?
I forgot I still had some.
Oh, nice.
So,
Are you gonna auction them or put them in the draw for the people who show up to your
yeah,
after parties?
yeah, or something. We'll do maybe we'll do a trivia thing or something, and if and the first person to get the right answer will get a copy.
Right.
Because I have two to give away. Well, maybe I might just have one because I think somebody made me promise them I'd give them one. So actually, it's Mikey, so I'll probably end up giving him one. But the thing is I could just send people my tunes for free, right? So
Yeah.
just over the internet. It's that easy these days, kids.
All right. So for whoever calls in first, for our first caller will get entered.
Get entered in for a
new
free CD.
new prize. Yeah, new
They
prize for
they
that.
they, they have to like harder edged music
Okay.
and my horrible voice.
No, no, it's
It's not
good.
that bad. It's not that. If my mom can listen to it, anybody can listen to it, and she likes um, Johnny Cash. Not that there's anything wrong with that. He's awesome. But she listens to stuff like Barbara Streisand and stuff. But she tolerates my music. I think the funniest thing is she came to one of our practices once and was sitting in the shed, and we're pretty loud, and she fell asleep. How do you do that, Mom?
Maybe like
She
the
actually fell asleep.
vibrations. Yeah.
Ah, could be.
I don't know. I fall asleep to a lot of things. I fall asleep to like, well, I like to listen to like podcasts right now. I go through different phases. Right now I'm going through a phase where I listen to a podcast or an audiobook. And like I'm like
Me
10
too.
minutes in and I'm out. I'm like out like a light. But it's not good because sometimes I'm trying to stay awake during the day or I'm listening to something and I start getting like my eyes are kind of starting to roll back
Doing
because
the nod.
I've trained myself, yeah, to like associate talking with falling asleep now.
That's it's we're not allowed to jump on the internet at work anymore. So, and I use the work phone at work. So what I do there is I've got Audible and I
Right.
download all kinds of books and great courses plus stuff.
Yeah,
And
I love
I just
that.
listen to that in the lab when I'm at work. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I
I don't know
work in
what
a
I
lab,
do.
guys. I'm sort of a hack chemist for an environmental company. So there you go.
I don't think a lot of people would have guessed that about you.
Nope. They say you're a biker, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe a little bit. I used to be. I don't have a bike anymore, but the last one I owned was in '92, I think. So
Right.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
And Aaron keeps giving me crap. Saying, "Oh, I'm going to get an extra bike, and we're going to go biking through Phoenix." I'm like, oh, "Okay, don't beat me up."
Yeah, you and Arnra are probably like the two of the toughest people, toughest looking people in the community, and some of the
It's all
nicest
looks.
people.
Yeah. We've actually swapped stories where people we knew that saw us come down the street and crossed the street,
Right.
right? Because
And
they're
you and
afraid.
you're not small. People like you and
Nope,
you're both quite tall.
I'm 6'4" ish, and if I
Right.
put my boots on, I'm over 6'5". So, and those are my
Yeah.
biker boots. So,
So slightly intimidating.
and Arn and
But
I've got a great picture of the two of us standing in front of this restaurant where it says "Monkeys Welcome," and both of us are just these big, intimidating, long-haired, freaky guys. So it's kind of funny.
yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine that would be intimidating. But once you get to know you, you're
Yeah, it's
so
a
so
different story.
nice. Excuse
Well,
me.
that little story I was saying about somebody crossing the road, I was dating a girl once. This is going back to probably the '90s, and her roommate goes, "Oh, now I recognize you," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I saw you coming down the street, and I was scared shitless, so I crossed the street. And if I knew who you were now, like I know you now, I never would have crossed the street." And I go, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that a lot."
I'm sorry. I'm
It's
gonna
all right. You got some water there, right?
Yeah. So we'd like to get into some calls here pretty soon. We do still have a few more lines open. So if anybody is in the audience right now and wants to call in and talk to Neil or myself, Neil is, as he has shown, he is not scary. He just looks a little bit
Arr.
intimidating. You can give us a call. The number again is 512-991-9242 or through your computer at tiny.cc/call TW.
You
And
called
if
just say
you
hi.
yeah,
Happy
just call it. You
Friday.
know what? It's been a tough week. I think it's I mean, we are the northern neighbors to a lot of our friends in the States. It's been a kind of a stressful week. So I even if there's people there that
Yeah,
just want to call in to maybe just vent a little bit, I would
yeah,
understand that. So we'll try
totally.
to keep it light. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, and I would be happy to talk to people about those issues as well. It's been a whirlwind of a week, I think, for a lot of people.
It has. I feel kind of bad for you guys down there in the U.S. What's going on? You're literally turning into the Handmaid's Tale. I think.
Yeah. And a good example of kind of why we do what we do here with like the Atheist Community of Austin and your channel, and like why we are trying to promote positive atheism and, secular communities and rational thinking. And, we're trying to get these things out because we kind of I think a lot of us are disappointed but not surprised by a lot of the things that have happened this week. So
That's a good way to put it. Not surprised,
yeah.
absolutely. Disappointed, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah.
we here in Canada, we just reaffirmed our right to choose here. The government
Yeah.
just said, "Oh, by the way, the rest of us Canadians, it's okay to be or to have your own choice here in Canada. We'll never let go of that."
Yeah.